new tire model update in Le Mans Ultimate. I've been testing it for 1 to 2 hours now, and I'm starting to get a hang of it. I got quite pissed off with Le Mans Ultimate in the break or off season or whatever ever since then, because the tire model for LMP2 and LMP3, there's no way of saying it's shit, right? It's not very good. I need to clip this, so let me start like a proper rant so I can make a clip. I need to post more on my YouTube. The Le Mans Ultimate tire update up until now has been very good in terms of feel and force feedback, but it's been super simplistic and absolute rubbish once you got into the details. Like, for example, if you spun on grass, your tires would go to 170 degrees or whatever it is, and you'd lose tire life because it purely calculated the tire life based on slip, right? Just on slip angle. So if you slid on the grass, just spin the wheels up, or on gravel or something, you would get a lot of tire wear and a lot of temperature. On the LMP2 as well, once it went past, I don't know, 100 degrees or something, the temperature would only build up. It would never go down, no matter how slow you would drive. So I've been pissed off because I've been obviously doing some mistakes because the LMP2 is difficult to drive. That's another part of it. I still believe that partly the car is broken. But I've been pissed off because I spun in Tosa, for example, at like, what, 100 and something kph in Imola, and I lost 30% tire life, man, on a tire. So that really made me not want to play the game anymore, because it's just rubbish, right? It's one mistake and you're out, which is, I get it, it's challenging, but it's also not, it was not a good tire model. On the other hand, on the LMP3, you would never be able to generate any tire temperature. I've driven those cars in real life. They're not that sketchy, and you are able to generate, even like cold conditions, like decent tire temp, right? But in the game, to go over 60 or 70 degrees, it would be very, very difficult. So now, all those cars are still rubbish. Forget them. LMP2, LMP3 tire model, I think, is rubbish. There's no other way to say it. It feels good. It's drivable. It's okay. But the tire model itself is not good. It's super simplistic. Just slip. That's it. Temperature is not under control. Now, they've brought a new tire model for the Hypercars only. So this is the most advanced we have now, and that's what we're going to test tonight. From my testing so far in Qatar, and I know this is very preliminary, it is a lot better. It is a lot better. I haven't tested all the scenarios, but, you know, enough talking. Let's go into the game, and let's kind of start explaining something in the 20 minutes we have before the session starts. So we're at Qatar. I'm just gonna load my quali setup and just show you some bits, right? Salutare, am făcut karting, dar foarte puțin. Glenn, oh no, not Glenn. Afternoon, mate. Alex, the new sim is awesome. I have one more upgrade planned, which I hope is coming soon, but don't forget, like and subscribe if you enjoy. And then we're gonna see with those upgrades in the past. If you do want to upgrade, you know what I'm using, Ace Sim Sports. You've got 5% off with my code. So first of all, the update has made Hypercars finally very tricky to drive on cold tires. They were still tricky in the with the all tire model, but they went up into temperature like very, very quickly. Like right now, I can't even go with TC out of the pits without lifting, without spinning off. So it now takes a proper like 5 laps to warm the tires up, which is very, very realistic. You'll see them in real life, like really tiptoe around the track in the first couple of laps, and GT3s will be quicker through the corners. Like, look at this. This is just so slow, right? And I think that's a great step forwards. They do not have tire blankets for Hypercars in the World Endurance Championship. We've seen a lot of experienced drivers make mistakes on cold tires, like Giovinazzi at Spa spun it like, you know, in Eau Rouge at very, very pedestrian pace. So this is now reflected here. So you're going to have to take it very carefully. You're going to have to be super slow. But the balance itself is good. So you remember I said the LMP3 tire... Oh, sorry. Thank you. No game sound. Okay, we are so back. Remember I said it should be now. The LMP3 tire model I said is not able to generate some temperatures. And the car just understeers because of the result of it. Because that tire model when they're cold, only heats up the rear tires for some reason. I don't know. This one is a lot more balanced. So you do get understeer, but if you push it, you see, the back will come round. So the car is sketchy, but there is still some balance to the car that wasn't there with the P2 or the P3 tire model. Whereas when the tires are cold, you usually just get chronic understeer and nothing else. So that's already a great step forward. And also I think the prolonged heating duration is very realistic. That wasn't very good. It was too quick. Beforehand you had like 2 laps, maybe 3, and you'd be like way quicker out of the gates. And yeah, they would warm up just too quickly. You'd be too quick. And the other thing I said, I'm gonna test it again. So you see the temperature is building up nicely. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe we now also have heat transferring from the discs to the rim and to the tire eventually. And it also takes time to build up the heat because you need to heat the core of the tire, right? So we get, I believe the indication that you get there is surface temperature. Not 100% sure. But while you can get surface temperature really quick on a tire just by spinning it up, like you do a burnout out of the pits, the surface temp could go up to 100 degrees Celsius easily. You're not going to have that as a core temperature in the carcass, right? Which is what gives you the proper grip. And the second thing, so if I go, let me go into this gravel now, right? You can see the tire life there. Look at the tire wear and look at the temps. They're still heating up, but it's not as bad as before. Maybe it's still a bit bad, like you wouldn't get any heat in real life. But I think it used to be a lot quicker, and you don't get any wear with that heat. So you might get a bit of surface temperature, but if I did this beforehand, I might need to test it with the LMP2 actually to show you guys. You would constantly lose tire life percentage, whereas here I barely lost anything because it's gravel, right? So you don't have the same friction as you have with asphalt. So yeah, the balance is good. It takes longer to heat up, and I think overall it's a step in the right direction. It is much more tricky to drive, especially when they are cold, and the cars are snappier. I would say they're harder to catch, but these hypercars in real life, they're not easy to drive. They're heavy cars with quite a lot of power, and you need to really push them to the edge, right, to get the maximum out of them. You can't really drive them with a lot of slip like you would before this new tire model came out. So I think that's a good progress. When are we getting the Nova in LMU? I wish we would. So I think it's a step in the right direction. There's still some things I would like to see. Again, I don't think this has a lot of heat transfer effect and that sort of stuff, like the finer details on a tire model. I don't believe the tires get dirty or anything like that, or at least now I don't feel any kind of gravel jumping out of the tires. So there's still some things that, you know, they need to implement, but I believe it's a good step in the right direction, and I hope they make these changes on the P2 and the P3 as well, because yeah, I really don't enjoy driving those cars now because of the tire model. They're fine if you don't make any mistake and just drive within the parameters, but let's be honest, that's super difficult to do, and mistakes happen. Mistakes happen in the sim, they happen in real life. The consequences should also be realistic, because every driver makes mistakes every single race. Like how big those mistakes are is debatable. And especially on a sim with limited tire sets every single race. For example, in P2, if you spin in qualifying and you lose one of those sets, your whole race is screwed up, right? Just because you had a low speed spin in qualifying. So I don't think that's good. I don't think that's realistic, and I hope to see this kind of refined and improved further. It's been 2 years now since the game came out, so yeah. With the tires, also the force feedback has been changed. I feel you have to drive the car much more on the nose than on the rear. So you used to drive it with a lot of slip on the rear axle, whereas now you really need to see where the front limit is, which for me, well, this might be a driving style thing because I tend to do that in real life as well, but most of the cars, also if you listen to Max or somebody more experienced like that, they do describe as, you know, you need to drive the car on the nose and to drive to drive it to that limit more or less IRL as well. So the force feedback feels a bit more intense, like there's more force to it for me, but that's because you feel that connection to the front tires a lot more. And when you get, well, at least in this LMH Peugeot, which is almost the only car I've driven, when you get oversteer, it's now kind of snappier, much harder to catch. I'm not sure about that part, to be honest. It is quite difficult to catch it. Maybe it's my setup. I'm still using some of the old setups. I found that generally I have to run a lot less ride height on the rear than what I had with the eSport setups, and I'm running more understeer. So I think those are to be expected. Yeah, the old tires were basically out on the Hypercar since the game came out, so it was one of the oldest things we had in here. So I think the update is definitely a step forward in the right direction again, in my opinion. So yeah, I don't know about BOP. I have no idea. I've only driven this Peugeot, so this is the 9X8 Evo with the wing and the Alpine, and I tried the Cadillac at Monza for like 3 laps and couldn't avoid dying. And I saw actually Jardier was in this practice server a bit earlier with the Cadillac, and he just spectacularly died in front of me. So I suspect that the LMHs again are quicker than the LMDHs, which I've noticed in the Ultimate, that's something they like to do, kind of flip between the two rule sets in terms of which car is the quickest or not. So yeah, that's kind of... Salutare Iuli, ciao. Bine ai venit pe stream. Oh. I hope that this, I don't know, explains a bit. I'm gonna clip this and post it on YouTube, hopefully. See if it gets any traction. Sort of a quick review of the tire model. I hope this makes the soft and the hard tires much more viable as well, because prior to the update they were almost useless in a lot of situations, whereas in real life you would see teams use them, like during the night at Le Mans or even in Qatar. You'd have different tire compounds based on the track temperature, on how much you load the tires up, and that makes a huge difference, not in terms of speed but in terms of wear and kind of balance. So I hope this makes the softs and the hards much more viable for races. They've been very rarely used until now. I have a feeling this is gonna change it, so I'm gonna try one of those quirky strategies for tonight's race and see where it goes. But overall, yeah, happy with the tire update. Come on, LMU, sort your stuff out with the LMP2 and LMP3 tires. I'm not in a position to speak about GT3 just because I don't race them, basically. I haven't done anything since the Spa 12 hours, which is, I don't know, 6 months ago or something, so I'm not going to speak about those. I don't think there's any update as far as I'm aware. But in terms of prototypes, yeah, happy with the update. Hope they kind of refine it further. Oh, sorry.